Welcome back to Insert Brain here, a Simpsons podcast. I'm your host, David, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Connor.
That's the one. I'm Connor.
Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 8, The Telltale Head. The first air date was 25th of February, 1990. Okay, so it's your turn for the synopsis this time.
For the first time in the entire show, well, we open up with Bart and Homer running through Springfield being chased by an angry mob, carrying the head of Jebediah Springfields from the statue in the centre of town, not his actual head.
Yeah.
At which point they are cornered by the statue, the headless statue, and we cut to flashback of the previous Sunday where Bart is getting frisked down by Marge before going to Sunday school.
Yeah.
And on the drive home from Sunday school, obviously, Sunday school / church, I guess.
Yeah.
Bart sees that the local cinema is showing Space Mutants 4. The rest of the trilogy, the end of the trilogy. I can't remember what it's called.
The trilogy continues.
The trilogy continues, that's it. The Space Mutants 4.
the rest of the trilogy
continues. And when he gets home, he's like, "Hey, Homer, can I have $5?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hope you're not going to see Space Mutants 4. The trilogy continues." Because Marge said, "No, you can't see that movie."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Of course I'm not." But he is. So he strips naked, he puts his clothes on, he gets on his skateboard, he rides down to the cinema where he meets for the first time Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney.
Alright, so ones.
Springfield's resident bullies. They're like, "Come and get in the cinema, Simpson." They sneak inside of the cinema away from the long queue, and they go in and they watch Space Mutants 4, at which point they're apprehended, kicked out the cinema. They go and watch they go rob the Quickie Mart, and then they go and look at some clouds. And he's like, "Hey, that cloud looks like Jebediah Springfield's statue. You know, if it had its head cut off."
Yeah.
And the bullies are like, "Yeah,
Aye.
I wish someone would do that for real. I wish someone would actually cut off that statue's head."
Mm.
And Bart's like, "Well, I want to fit in. I want to be a cool kid. I want to be seen as being cool." So he sneaks out as a ninja in the night and he cuts off the statue's head. At which point the town goes into an uproar and he realises the error of his ways.
Yeah.
He's got the statue's head talking to him from his backpack.
Yeah.
An ode to the Edgar Allan Poe story, The Telltale Heart, where this episode also gets its name. Yeah. And the rest of the story is about Bart deciding that he's going to come clean.
And putting the head back.
And then they get caught up where we were before, where they get chased by the mob, and then the statue's head gets put back on. Bart apologises, and that's the end of the episode.
Pretty much, aye. While the rest of the mob are sitting there just
look at the statue.
Looking at the head on the statue.
That slips back on.
Which just,
just
fucking
stays
sits
on.
back on and then stays on.
Which is why in the Simpsons Hit and Run, if you, as Bart, jump up the statue, you can kick the head and it'll fall off because it's not held on by
yeah, of course, aye.
Phenomenal stuff.
We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the episode, when we're dealing with the Simpsons Hit and Run and stuff.
That's enough. Do you want to cut to a little segment I like to call Eye on Springfield?
I'm not doing the tune, you do
it. That's the Eye on Springfield theme. This is a segment where we talk about characters who made their first appearance in this episode.
Alright, cool.
Brace yourself.
I'm braced.
This is the first appearance of Krusty the Clown.
So it is.
First real appearance. He's in Suffering Bart's room. He's on Krusty Flakes.
Yeah.
He's on the TV in the opening credits.
I think that's everything.
What did you think of Krusty in his first appearance?
His voice isn't particularly consistent.
Yeah.
He sounds kind of like Krusty in one moment, and then, like in another moment, he sounds nothing like Krusty.
They hadn't quite figured out how to nail drawing the bags under his eyes either.
Yeah, of course. It was weird.
They look very... I don't know what it is about that's different between how they're portrayed in this appearance and how they're portrayed later on. I think they're maybe not as distinctly drawn or maybe as bold.
There's a lot of stuff when they're drawing The Simpsons. I think they've got like a black outline around it. I think they take that out later on.
Yeah, aye.
I think it's been done as like a whole separate piece. So I think they just obviously,
Yeah.
obviously just take the black outline out and stop
There
drawing
was,
it like that.
yeah.
For later episodes.
There's a similar. Well, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to it when we get to it
We'll
in
get
this
there.
episode. First appearance of Apu na Hasapima Petalon.
Yep.
Did you forget who Apu was for a second?
I knew who Apu was.
Right. Appears briefly as the. I think he's only in the Quickie Mart scene. He doesn't show up later on in the.
No, I don't think he does turn up in the crowd. He can't have been that pissed.
I guess he wouldn't really care. He's not originally from Springfield, I don't think. So he's not that bothered.
No, he's not. No.
First appearance of Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Pretty much, aye. He was in the crowd. Yeah.
He's in the crowd and he's in Krusty's show.
Aye.
But yeah, he obviously doesn't have the voice. He doesn't have any voice at all. He just speaks with his slide whistle.
No, of course, aye. It's just
His design is a very off model.
Yeah, it is weird.
First appearance of Jimbo.
Mm-hmm.
Jimbo Jones. Do you know who Jimbo Jones is?
Jimbo Jones? Is he the Billy?
Yeah. You know which Billy it is?
It's me shrugging there.
I'm glad you shrugged on this audio-only podcast. Jimbo Jones is the one that has the black t-shirt with the skull on it and the hat.
Right. With the long hair, but not the one covering the eyes.
Yeah. Also first appearance of Dolph Starbeam.
Is that the one with no hair?
That's the one with the hair covering his eye.
Right. Oh, the one with...
And the first appearance...
It's 50-50 chance.
First appearance of Kearney, who's the other Billy.
Right, okay.
First appearance of Reverend Lovejoy.
Okay, yeah. His weird Technicolor, like, freaking stained glass windows.
Yeah, they ditched that in later seasons, but I like it. I like the inclusion of having stained glass windows in this fictional cartoon church.
I like the inclusion of the stained glass windows, but I think it's just weird that it was just like a
there's no.
kaleidoscope.
I think that's what they change about it in the future. I think they're still there, but they have
a Simpson Jesus or
Some
something.
sort of
That would be
person in
like
them.
a nice design, you know.
First appearance of Mr. Dandy.
Mr. Dandy. From
Candy Most Dandy. Not a character that really took off.
No, clearly.
We'll pick up on Mr. Dandy in at least one other future episode. I think.
Okay, right.
I think he's not.
Surprising that he's not more in it, considering it's his candy shop,
Well, you can just have the characters get their candy from the Quickie Mart.
which is what they usually do.
Yeah, and Mr. Dandy doesn't really have much of a personality.
No.
I think the idea
Yeah.
was to have him be designed to look like the Candyman not from the movie The Candyman with Tony Todd, but from Willy Wonka.
Right.
You know,
right.
the Candyman can.
Yeah.
Sprinkle it with cheer. The Candyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was what his design was meant to be, but the joke is that he's horrible.
Right.
But that's a very one-note joke.
Yeah, I can see why he isn't continued, really.
Yeah. First appearance of the Space Mutants
Right, yes.
in the movie The Space Mutants 4. The
Yes.
trilogy continues.
Yeah.
They, I think they show up in one of the NES games.
I think so.
They're kind of like the Happy Little Elves
Yeah.
and Smiling Joe Fission, where they don't really make so much of a continued appearance
Mm-hmm.
animated as characters like they are in the film in this.
Yeah.
But they appear. There's like a
There's
toy
like-
in Bart's room of the Space Mutant. And
Yeah. And there's posters and stuff.
Stuff like
flitting
that in the
about and
background.
things.
And
Yeah.
I think there's maybe one in. Usually, there's one in Android's dungeon.
Mm.
The
Right.
comic book guy's shop.
Yeah.
First appearance of Miss Albright.
Oh, right, yeah. The Sunday school teacher.
Yeah, I was about to throw it to you and try and catch you off guard and be like, "Who's Miss Albright? David, who's Miss Albright?"
There you go. The one who's getting more and more fed up with Bart and Lisa and everyone else.
Did you find it weird that she was like, "No, your cats and dogs and chimps won't be in heaven"?
Yeah, that's...
I'd never heard that before.
Neither have I. To be fair, I never went to Sunday school, so...
I don't think I ever went to Sunday school, but I went to a Catholic primary school.
Right. I did not do that either, so I have no idea about most of that.
Technically, the first appearance of Kent Brockman.
Right, okay.
But it's just his voice on the TV.
Yeah.
Or the radio or whatever.
Yeah, it was the radio, wasn't it?
I think that's his scene, yeah.
Yeah, it was the radio because then it announced it goes to Chief Wiggum and then we cut to the actual crowd where he's talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he doesn't appear physically.
No.
In the episode at all.
Yeah, they cut to the crowd of Chief Wiggum talking.
Right, yes.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to the radio when they're in the living room or wherever they are, kitchen.
Yes.
In the kitchen, and the radio host is crying about the fact that the head's missing.
I guess before Kent Brockman made it in TV, he was a radio journalist.
I guess so.
I'm sure they've contradicted that in
many
recent
a time,
seasons,
I'm sure.
but we'll go for it. We'll go with it for now.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on this episode?
I quite liked this episode. I thought it was a good introduction to the bullies and Space Mutants as well. But I thought it was quite a pretty decent episode. It felt, despite the fact that we paused it and rewound it like 7 times.
To catch little different bits that we'd missed.
To catch bits, just to double check them and stuff as we were watching it. But despite that, it felt like quite a short episode.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's the regular length of a Simpsons episode.
Yeah, and Bart actually says exactly how long the
22
story...
minutes and
23 minutes and 5 seconds, I think it is.
Which is, I think, how long is left from that point onwards.
Yeah.
Till the end of the episode.
Yeah. Because they were asking how long... the mob was asking how long it would take to retell the story.
I wonder if the thing where they complain about that, where they're like, that's way too long, I wonder if that was reminiscent of what Fox were saying at the time.
Maybe.
About The Simpsons.
Maybe. Maybe it's a direct voice message.
Cut it into 3 smaller stories.
Exactly.
Yeah, for some reason I always think of Bart chopping off the head of the statue as being like a season 4 episode.
Yeah, much later episode in the Simpsons.
But no, all the animation. I mean, it doesn't look as bad as some of the other episodes, but it does definitely look like a season 1 episode. Yeah, it does. There's a lot of things that are not quite the right color, and the car door changes color because it's moving. Yeah, when Barney's talking, the lower half of his face is cut off in a different color to the rest of his face. Yeah, and it's still like it's yellow, but it's like one's like lemon and the other one's like rotten lemon. Like rotten lemon. It's just a very blatantly obvious different color. Yeah, and you can see the outline, the weird sort of like dark grey or black outline of his across his face. When Smithers talks at the end of the episode to Mr. Burns, I think he says the feeling is more than mutual, sir. Yeah, which is the first hint that Smithers might be gay. Yeah, you can kind of see that same outline. Yeah. Like they're only animating the bottom half of the face, so that's the only bit they're going to move. Yeah. So weird that only really shows up in this episode. Barney actually in one of the earlier episodes that we've already watched. I think it was maybe like 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. I can't remember exactly. Homer's Odyssey or Bart the Genius? Probably Homer's Odyssey, I would say. Yeah, I don't think Barney shows up in Bart the Genius. I think it must be in about... This is vague memories going on here. Does Barney show up in... He shows up in Homer's Odyssey, but he doesn't have any lines. I think it was when he was either smiling or something. I don't know if it was exactly when he was talking, but I know in a previous episode... Maybe it was episode 1, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. Could have been at this point. Carry on. When he was talking at that point, it had the same sort of thing underneath his nose, all the way across his cheek, kind of thing. I think it was episode 1. Yeah, it probably would have been. Because Barney's in that episode a lot. Yeah, because he's in the pub a lot, isn't he? So he also he's betting, and he gets Homer the job with Santa. So he's also a Santa. Yeah, so he is. Barney's a big role in episode 1. Yeah, but we're here to talk about episode 8. Yeah. Did you see that in the opening? This was episode 8. I did, yeah. I said episode 8. I think.
Episode 8.
There we go. Now we've got the
There
audio.
you go. You can just cut
Cut and splice and move and shift all of that. Cut this entire fucking episode. Cut my life into pieces. But yeah, I kind of feel like the talking head stuff is kind of talking head as in Jebediah's head.
Yeah.
It's kind of a much smaller part of the episode and not really well utilized.
Yeah. It's
Talks to him
only a couple of scenes.
Twice.
Yeah.
Once when he's in front of the bullies, just after he's cut the head off, where he's about to show it to them.
Yeah.
And in classic like teenager, high schooler kind of fashion, they've completely changed their tone from the previous day.
Yeah.
They're like, the previous day, they're like, I wish someone would cut that statue's head off. And the next day after he's done it, he's like, man,
I want to break every bone.
we'll break every bone in that guy's body if we ever find him.
Yeah, that was just talk, apparently.
Aye, sounds about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like that was kind of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
There's no, I think Harry Shearer does the voice of Jebediah Springfield's statue's head.
Right.
Jebediah Springfield, whose full name is obviously David.
Is it David? No. Jebediah. What was it?
Jebediah, Obadiah, Zebediah, Jedidiah Springfield.
Zachariah.
What did I say?
Zebediah.
Oh.
Or
Jebediah, Obadiah, Zachariah,
Jedidiah Springfield. Yeah, that's it.
Mentioned in this episode, I think never again.
Probably.
But that's his full name.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I had to rewind it like 7 times.
That was 6 of the 7 rewinds.
Exactly.
Catch that name and commit it to memory.
And I forgot it. To be fair, I forgot it 4 seconds after I fucking remembered
I was like, remember that? I'm going to throw it to you in the episode and I'm going to be like, what's that name?
Yep.
What's the name?
Nothing.
That's the one
But yeah.
What did you think of the structure of this episode? Starting at the end and then flashing back to the beginning and then...
I quite liked it. But I do like a story episode.
Yeah.
I do like a story episode. So I'm quite partial to that sort of structure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I appreciate that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it would have, had they not done that, the pacing of the episode would have felt a bit off because the first, if you structured it normally without the flashback,
starting in the previous Sunday already.
The first 2 acts, or the first act and a half, kind of, are quite leisurely in their pacing.
Yeah.
All the stuff that Bart does with the bullies, as great as it is, is very leisurely. It's very... He goes to the cinema and he gets chucked out, and they go to the Quickie Mart and they get...
It's almost like there's, without the ending shown at the start to set up what's happening or what's going to happen, it's almost like there's no point to the episode until you get to that. But because they've set it up like that, you're actually wanting to know when it becomes relevant.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I actually really like a leisurely Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
I like the kind of...
I enjoyed this episode very, very much.
I loved all the stuff with the bullies. I like those 3 characters a lot because those are the kind of people that I used to spend time with in high school. Just fucking morons. Just idiots. I was basically Jimbo in high school. That's essentially what I looked like.
I have seen.
The hat, the skull t-shirt, the whole thing.
Yep.
And at one point I had Dolph's hair with the ear covering the eye as well.
Right.
Some things never go out of fashion.
No. Some things never come in.
I'll fucking come in you in a second.
After the episode.
A reminder to cut that out.
Yeah, please.
What did you think of Bart's ninja costume?
I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
I'm surprised that hasn't made like more of a resurgence in later episodes. I know it's in the Simpsons hit and run.
Yeah.
It might be in the Simpsons game as well, and I think one of the NES games. It's quite a popular video game out.
Is it in wrestling? Can you change the character costumes?
I don't think you can change character costumes in wrestling.
Yeah, I know you can change at least one character costume in wrestling.
What's that?
I think there's alternatives. There's one and then there's another one, because Groundkeeper Wally, he can be clothed or he can be topless.
Really?
I might have been fucking dreaming this.
Your dreams are PS1 graphics of Groundskeeper Willie shirtless.
Yes.
Okay.
But as far as I remember from when I was playing it anyway, this is a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, this is when it was not quite but nearly first out. We're talking here. Actually, there we go. We'll pull out the Simpsons Wrestling game and have a look at what year it might have potentially been.
Yes. Yeah, I have it just here.
I knew you owned it. I was just wondering if you had it in your hand yet.
Okay, I'm looking at the back of the box. I don't want to get too sidetracked with this game that we're not going to cover for a few years.
Yeah.
I'm going to read off to you the little bullet points of things you can expect to see in the show. In the game, rather.
In the game, yeah.
Actual voices from the TV show, hidden characters, exclusive character moves, popular Springfield venues, and numerous power-ups. No mention of any alternate costumes.
Clothes. Okay. But he is topless, fuck it.
Whatever. He's topless on the box cover. He has his overalls on, but they're ripped and his muscles are out. I'm now opening the box. This is riveting.
Riveting stuff to listen to, I'm sure.
I'm flipping through the manual.
Yeah.
I'm flipping through it some more. Taunt, pinning, power-ups, pause, starting a new tournament, character bios. That's fun. No, there's no alternate costumes in there either.
Fair enough. Well, then I fucking dreamed alternate costumes into that.
Good stuff.
But whatever. I'm sure it's an alternate costume in one of the games at least.
It's definitely in Simpsons Hit and Run. And I think it features in a level of the Simpsons game.
Probably, yeah.
But it never took off the way that Bartman did. You know the thing where Bart's dressed like Batman?
Yeah, yeah. You've got the
little Lego thing,
the little Lego guy up there.
Dressed as Batman, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It never took off in the way that did.
No, which is a shame. I quite like the costume. I like the whole scene that he's doing that with the cat and everything. Yeah, I like that.
We talk a little bit about how easy Bart finds it to cut off the head of a bronze statue with one hacksaw in about 3 seconds. A solid bronze statue.
Yeah, you see the neck and you see the head.
Aye.
The bottom of the head, you see it at one point in the show. It is solid. And you see the neck without the head on it, which also shows that it is solid and not a hollow statue. And we're presuming, based on its coloration and its age, it's probably a bronze statue.
I think it's been confirmed to be solid bronze.
So, even if that wasn't the case, as you pointed out, even if it was a bloody wooden statue, which it's not, but even if it was, it would still take a lot longer than that to cut through with anything.
Yeah, aye.
Short of a power saw or something. But you still wouldn't be able to cut through it that fast, surely. Not in about 4 seconds flat without massive industrial machinery.
I don't want to dox us, but there is a statue in the centre of our town.
Right, yeah.
Actually quite similar to the one at Jebediah Springfields, except it's made out of stone, I think.
Yes, it's a marble statue, I believe.
Marble, that's it, marble statue.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how hard it would be to cut the head off that with a hacksaw? We're not going to...
You even use a hacksaw, but yeah.
We're not going to factor cap it and try and do that for this episode of the podcast. Especially considering it's an audible medium. No.
You're not going to see anything.
We're not going to dress up like ninjas and go and cut that statue's head off in the night. But if we did, we would need something more powerful than a
manual saw.
Yeah.
For sure.
A
lot more powerful. Or a lot more time.
I suppose with it being
you could use a hacksaw, because it is bronze. Bronze is fairly soft metal. But you could use a hacksaw, but it's still metal. It's still got a moderately high melting point, so it's not like it's just going to fucking liquefy.
Is that a hacksaw or is that a band?
No,
it is a hacksaw.
That one's a hacksaw. Yeah,
because I've done.
It's also, you never get all the way through it because the arch around the back of the hacksaw is too close to the blade to get all the way through the neck.
Yeah, because I was just about to say that. I've used hacksaws when I've been doing like woodworking.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cut through wood like it's butter.
Yeah.
So it's not going to cut through. It's not even the preferred saw for cutting through wood when I was doing woodworking.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy using them because I found them to be very flimsy.
But the blade is really easy to sort of like twist and turn.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to get a straight line out of it.
Aye.
But even if that was the case, even if you wanted to use a hacksaw, let's say that arch is actually big enough. Maybe it's like a really spacious one, which is not drawn as.
No, but let's
just assume and pretend this is a cartoon. Let's just pretend that is the case. He is going to go through so many blades going through that really thick neck.
Yeah.
That is about the size of his chest, practically. The head is the width of the chest, so it's very thick neck.
Also seemingly weighs nothing.
Yeah, it clunks when it hits the ground.
But Bart's walking around with it in his bag.
When he puts the bag down, but he just sort of like hops up the bag, like it's nothing.
We've carried bags that are filled with books before. And they were too heavy to do that with. Paperback and hardback books.
Yeah.
And they were too heavy to just pop around like that head, which is carrying that bag, which is carrying the head of a statue.
Yeah. That's quite a big bronze chunk.
It's a big noggin.
Yeah. Also somehow never damaged in the time that it's sort of just fallen onto the ground and stuff. Bronze is quite a soft metal, like I said. I'm pretty sure you might remember this better than I can, but it's on a concrete plinth or a brick plinth or something.
It is, yeah. Aye.
Which means that's what it landed on when it hit the ground. It never broke any of that, and it never
Bart
got
didn't catch
dented or
it or
scratched.
anything. Yeah, you hear it thunk.
Yeah. You see it in you see the shadow of it hit the ground. Like none of the head or none of the tiles, and none of that was damaged as well. But hey, whatever. Obviously, they needed a concise 23 minutes and 5 seconds in total.
So how else is a 10-year-old boy going to get the head of a statue that's made out of bronze?
Yeah, yeah.
Would it have been more effective to use a blowtorch? Do you think?
You wouldn't really blowtorch it, I don't think, because it's not. It's too thick. If it was flat, you could probably blowtorch through it. And I think that's similar. I've never used a plasma cutter in my life, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, plasma cutters can only go through a certain thickness of metal as well.
Yeah.
So again, that would have an issue with it, which could go through it pretty quickly. Like plasma cutters and blowtorches would go through metal very quickly.
It would also melt the metal
yeah.
at the base of the neck and at the head of the shoulders of the joint.
Where you're cutting it, it would do that, yeah. Well, I'm glad we finished our DIY.
When we do our other podcasts, Beheaded Statues. Is there a better name for that?
Don't know. Our Henry VIII fucking podcast.
Our other podcast, French Revolution La Concreta. What's the French for concrete?
I don't know, man.
Bronze or stone or whatever.
I've no idea.
Our podcast where we go around French revolutioning statues and seeing how easy that is.
With different types of
various
cutting
methods.
implements.
Aye. Fuck it.
Let's move on.
Three blind mice trivia.
Three mice blind. Perfect.
It's time for three blind mice trivia.
Yes.
We already spoke briefly about Sideshow Bob and how he has a different design in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it isn't voiced by Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Who would go on to voice him in the future.
Right, yeah.
The original idea for Sideshow Bob was that he would speak only with a slide whistle.
Right, yeah.
And I believe they tried to get the proper Sideshow Bob design into this episode.
Mm-hmm.
They decided on it after, and then were like, there wasn't enough time to get it reanimated back into the episode before the episode had to be sent out.
Right, okay.
They missed that.
Fair enough.
This is one of only 4 episodes of the show which credits Matt Groening as a writer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
This is the first episode to ever mention Jebediah Springfield.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you notice when Bart does his chalkboard gag at the beginning of the episode?
Oh, right, yeah.
He writes down, I did not see Elvis.
Yeah.
If you look closely, one of the lines actually says, I did see Elvis.
All right, does it?
Bart says Cowabunga in the episode.
Wait, what?
That's part of my trivia.
Did I miss that?
I must have missed it as well. I have it in my trivia notes that he says I think he does say Cowabunga at some point.
Wow.
Cowabunga. But like one of the few times he says Cowabunga. Because we talked about this in a previous episode where he's accredited with saying Cowabunga, but he doesn't actually say it that much in the show. It was more of a t-shirt slogan from the early 90s.
Yeah. He says it a lot in like games and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure he says
Simpsons
it a lot
skateboarding.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you catch the Godfather reference?
Been a while.
In this episode.
No, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen The Godfather, so...
It's the most famous scene in The Godfather.
No.
It's the Bart wakes up with the bronze statue's head in his bed and he screams.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
A reference to the scene in The Godfather where the guy wakes up with the horse's head in the bed and he screams.
Right.
Reverend Lovejoy's sermon is about gambling being the 8th deadly sin.
Yeah.
But as congregation members compliment him on his sermon, you can see a sign in the church promoting bingo on Tuesday night, Wednesday is Monte Carlo night, and arena retreat on Saturdays.
I saw the retreat. I saw that
think
sign.
yeah.
I didn't see the other ones. I was too busy reading the retreat bit. But yeah,
Jimbo and Dolph's voice actors are swapped in this episode.
All right.
Pamela Hayden voices Dolph and Tress McNeil voices Jimbo. In future episodes, their voices are swapped around.
Right.
I didn't really notice with Dolph.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he doesn't do as much talking, but Jimbo sounded definitely off his usual voice.
Yeah.
I think Kearney had the same voice actor.
He sounded right anyway, but could be he didn't sound that wrong, you know?
Yeah, it was Nancy Cartwright. It does the voice of Nelson and Bart and Ralph.
Yeah.
She is also the voice of Kearney.
All right, cool.
Here's a big one for you. You hyped?
I'm sitting down.
You excited?
Yep.
The televised version of this episode had an extra scene where Bart explains to the mob that they've lost their way as Springfieldianites by being so quick to lynch a 10-year-old boy who feels remorse for his actions.
Right.
The scene doesn't appear on the DVD or in many reruns, and was shoehorned in by Fox, who wanted a message about people losing their town pride. The scene does, however, appear in the Disney Plus version of the episode. We'll need to go and check that out right now.
Yeah.
I'll finish this segment and then we'll go and watch that. My God.
Yeah.
I wrote these trivia points and even I didn't know that. The flashback structure was added because at table reads the episode started really funny and then kind of petered out joke-wise. Jimbo is named after Jim Brooks.
Right.
The girl in the movie Space Mutants 4 is also voiced by Nancy Cartwright.
All right, wow.
Here's one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Apu wasn't intended to be of any specific nationality as the writers were worried it would offend someone. However, Hank Azaria improvised the voice at the table read and got a huge reaction. See, I didn't know that until I did the trivia research for this episode. Obviously now Apu isn't in the show anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Definitely understand Hank Azaria not wanting to do the voice, more so now knowing that that voice wasn't in the show until he improvised it at the table and put it in basically himself. Yeah.
I get why they removed Apu, but I liked Apu as a character.
I think that eventually they should bring him back with a...
He was one of my favourite people in Hit and Run as well.
He's the only playable character outside of the family.
Yeah.
I have a theory that the reason that game hasn't had a remaster or a re-release on PlayStation Store or the Xbox Marketplace or anything like that is because of Apu's role in it.
Yeah, probably. He's got a big role in it, so yeah, probably.
I hope at some point they bring him back into the show with an Indian American voice actor.
Yeah. Bring it. I don't mind change up the voice to an actual legitimately the correct nationality actor.
Aye,
fine. But I liked Apu in there. He was a good good character.
Yeah. Bring him back.
Yeah.
Bring him home.
Yeah.
Apu's first name is taken from the Sajid Ray Bollywood film trilogy, and his surname was taken from a high school friend of one of the writers.
All right.
There we
Fair
go.
enough.
Did you notice the the shot of Homer and Bart walking past the mob at the end of the episode?
Right.
Looked very weird.
Yeah. It looks really like they
the perspective is totally off,
Yeah.
and
Aye.
that wasn't included in the original edit. That was added in later on.
All right. Okay, so in the original edit, that would have taken up that time that they're walking past the mob would have been taken up by the Fox's thing about Bart talking to the mob about.
Well, there was the line that was in that scene where they're going home was originally different. That line was originally Homer says, "Well done, son. I can't wait to get home and start punishing you."
All right.
I think after the initial edit, they decided to change it and
Right.
make it a bit more of a happy father-son ending rather than Homer being like, "I can't wait to get home and start punishing you," which is definitely more in character.
Yeah, I was going to say much more like properly in character for Homer. Which, you know what, the Homer Bart character interaction in this episode was also a little bit strange. I get why Homer didn't start trying to kill Bart, but he has gotten to Bart's neck so much faster than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, usually
like Bart says something wrong and he's instantly got his hand around his throat choking
usually
him.
It's like lightning fast.
Yeah.
How fast you can just snatch onto that neck and wring it for all it's worth.
Surely at that point, what he would have been doing is already choking him, whilst Bart's still clinging onto the head of the statue, or even it's on the floor at this point.
Aye. Or drop it on Homer's foot or something.
Yeah, and then realizes that, oh, it was me that kind of accidentally put him up to this.
Aye.
So, Marge, lay off the boy. You know, that would have been more funny, I think.
Yeah.
So, but hey, whatever. It's like a little bit of an odd thing that, and then I know they've got a mob with the entire town, but the fact that Homer didn't just bolt and leave the mob to kill Bart.
I'm glad he didn't. I think that's something that maybe later seasons jerk-ass Homer would have done. Yeah. But I like this version of Homer more.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He's a much better person.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely a much better person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a bit, it doesn't seem to, the level of willingness to stay, as opposed to...
you think he should have maybe wavered more?
Yeah. Before actually deciding, you know what, I'm going to stay with my boy, kind of thing.
Aye.
We're going to either die together or whatever that he says.
Let's quickly cut it there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go and see this scene.
Yes.
And we'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
And we're back after sitting in the ending of the version of the episode that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So completely different bit of audio.
Yeah.
Over what looks like recycled animation mostly.
It does, yeah.
Where Bart talks about
taking advantage of their heritage and stuff.
Not properly appreciating their heritage.
Which also looks like it's over recycled mob animation as well, because when they focus on the mob, when he's saying about the, abusing their heritage or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The mob still look pissed.
Yeah.
They don't go, oh, yeah, I never really thought about it like that until afterwards when he goes, I feel like more shame and whatnot for doing that than you can ever make me feel. And then they go, oh.
Yeah, and then the footage of Bart and Homer walking past the mob.
At a really odd sort of
a nonsensical perspective that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That's not there.
Yeah. So like I was badly saying before, earlier on, I'm pretty sure I said something about the time, which makes no real sense whatsoever. But what I was meaning by that earlier on was the fact that the time slot they used in talking about the heritage is either that or the time slot they've put in the extra to make up the full episode time.
Right, yeah.
They've put in the extra of them walking past the screen talking.
Yeah, aye.
So that would be that. So it's one or the other.
It's
really strange why they even did any of that.
Mm. In the original edit, does the statue
I don't
speak to Bart at
remember
the
him
end?
saying sorry, sir.
And
And
the
then the
statue being like,
statue saying
don't
it's all
worry
right,
about
Bart.
it, Bart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
I don't think that was in the other edit.
Interesting stuff.
It's weird.
Anyway, let's speedily move on to our final segment of the
That's
show.
the one.
Boy, I sure hope someone got fired for that blunder. David, you had some car complaints.
I did, yes. So when they're approaching the church, driving.
Yes.
When
they're coming home from the church. Because they drive past Space Mutants 4.
No, when they're going first.
Oh, is
The
this
first
first
bit when they're on their way?
when they arrive at the...
When they're on their way, you see the dent in the front driver's side, I think, of the car.
Yeah.
You see the dent in the crumple zone where it's gone up in the front wheel arch or the front headlight fender, whatever you want to call that bit.
Sure.
That bit. And
the front.
The front of it. And then when they park at the church, which somehow they've got a space right outside the church, despite the entire church community being in there, never going to happen.
The most optimum space to park in.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so they're parked there, and the camera shows from up in the air down towards the car and along to the church on that path. There is no crumple on that car. It is perfectly smooth and flat. On both sides, so there's no accident that's been there since forever.
Yeah,
but yeah, so just a bit of continuity issues in that bit.
You had another bit of trivia.
I did.
Another bit of a car complaint.
That one was on the way back. That you were thinking.
Other podcast, Alice's Adventures Through the Windshield Glass, where we talk about car safety.
Yes.
What is your car safety complaint?
My car safety complaint is that so Homer, as always, is not wearing a seatbelt. Marge is wearing a seatbelt. This is the bit that you were probably talking about on the way back.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to talk about. Yeah.
Right. So that on the way back is they've got their usual. Marge is always wearing a seatbelt for some reason. Homer's never wearing a seatbelt. He doesn't even
for
have
some
one.
reason. I like that. Marge is wearing a seatbelt. For some reason,
I mean, if you're going to animate everyone else with or without a seatbelt,
I know that
it
was intentional to have Homer never wear it. Initially, they were going to have Homer never wear it.
He also doesn't have one.
Yeah,
like to wear. There's not one there
hanging
waiting to
down.
Waiting to be put on in most of the scenes, at least in this season. So far,
I'm sure they fix that in future seasons, but so far
there isn't.
Yeah.
But the main sort of issue that I had is when you're looking from the front, when the cameras say on the dashboard of the car, looking back through, you cannot see the seatbelts that Lisa and Bart are wearing.
Yeah.
And you can see Maggie's car seat, which is a sort of magenta colour.
Yes, aye.
And you can see the very top of Maggie's head. But you can't see Lisa's especially. So Bart's is it might be considered hidden behind Homer's head at occasion, but you should be able to see the anchor point for it if nothing else. But Lisa's is coming from the side where Maggie is, not coming from the side where the wall of the car is, which means you would be able to see the seatbelt from this scene. It's not hidden behind Margie's head, which that one would be if it was coming from that side. You wouldn't be able to see it. So when the camera then goes to the just focusing on the back seats, they're all wearing a seatbelt, and that's where you see the Lisa's seatbelt pointing that way. Yes. And then Homer's talking, and Bart just leans forward in less than half of a second. You don't hear the seatbelt click. You don't hear him move it. You don't hear any grunt of effort getting out from under a seatbelt, which has also got the lap belt part as well. It's a 3-point seatbelt. Yeah. He's just right up against the back of Homer's seat without any belt over his shoulder, nothing. Yeah. So he's fucking slippery bastard. He can slide out from underneath the seatbelt in no time. The point about the magenta car seat as well is when they zoom in on the back, it's brown, the same colour. Maggie's car seat's brown. It's the same colour as the bench seat. So they've forgotten to recolour that properly. Aye. But yeah, it's just a whole... Is that the end of your complaints about the... Pretty much, right now, yeah. It was a fairly long and unnecessary ramble about car seatbelts. The proper anchoring point for a car seat. For a seatbelt, sorry. The seatbelt the middle seatbelt should be coming from either side in the middle, but that should be there, or only a lap belt. But
I
if
think
it's,
there may be a lap belt over my.
I think there
she's in her
is.
car
I think
seat
she's.
as well,
I think she's
yeah.
got the car seat belt, which is actually drawn in there as only a lap belt, but it would actually be a cross harness. But whatever, doesn't matter. It might not have been at the time. Maybe that wasn't the case on car seats
In
at the time,
1989. Bear in mind it's an older
1989,
car
yeah.
as well.
Well, yeah, the car seats had an additional thing. You buy one and put it in the car, so it's from whatever.
I meant like the seatbelt anchoring points.
Oh well, it's a different seatbelt that's anchored in the car seat, and then you anchor the car seat with the seatbelt.
Right.
So you would, even if it was an older seatbelt, it would just anchor the car seat differently. That's all. But Lisa's one would definitely be coming from the wall or from the car door side. But anyway, whatever. We're here. We're here now.
Wow, what a fascinating glimpse
into the useless
mind of
shit
David
that's in my head.
Oh, what a fun segment of our Simpsons podcast.
Yes.
Barney's and Moe's hair is Barney and Moe's hair is actually the right colour in this episode for the most
in the
part.
tavern. Yes.
There is one shot of Barney in the crowd where not only is his hair now blonde, his shirt is white instead of that kind of orangey red.
Yes, yeah. What else did we think?
I don't know, is it?
The continuity of the bicycle disappearing.
Yeah, we saw that again in the opening
disappeared
credits.
again in the opening credits. I can't remember anything else that was a blunder other than everyone's faces having a weird sort of joint thing going on.
So let's get to final thoughts and wrap it up. There's a shot I really like in this episode where they're in the church and Homer's got his headphones in.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about that section at all, I guess.
What about the
church?
I loved the voice matching with the broadcaster sort of.
Here's an additional bit of trivia for you.
Yeah.
Originally, the writers wanted to make sure that the voice that Homer was listening to and Reverend Lovejoy's voices didn't sync up at all, so that it was clear
right
that what he's listening to isn't what Reverend Lovejoy is saying.
But I think that's clear anyway.
I think it's much funnier that it's meant
I like
to
the fact
look
that
like
it links up.
Yeah,
that it looks like he's doing a sermon about football.
It
instead
sets
of
up
about
the
gambling.
punchline of Homer standing up in church and being like, "Yes, oh God, yes."
Yeah.
Or
it's good.
It's good. That's good.
It.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, that shot of it zooms, the camera kind of pans in, and Marge slides back in frame to reveal that Homer is wearing the headphones.
Yeah,
that's
that's a really good shot. Yeah,
lovely little scene.
It's a lovely bit of animation, though. It's very, very well done. At no point it looks like it's they're sliding her towards you. It looks like they're moving a camera past Marge.
Right, yeah, it looks like something from like a Brian De Palma film.
Yeah. But that looks really good.
Yeah.
So there's some really good animation in this, and then there's some weird animation in this, which really isn't all that weird. It's mostly just the coloration of the moving parts. A lot of it's
really just the crowd shots, which were hard to do at the time.
Yeah.
Edna Krabappel looks bizarre in that wide shot of the crowd.
Yeah. Aye, because she's got, like, her eyes don't meet up like circles.
It looks like it's Edna Krabappel, but with someone else's face.
Yeah, it's strange.
What else? Oh, yeah, Mr. Burns and Moe meet and have a conversation in this episode, which is not two characters that I ever imagined being in the same place at the same time.
Blunder.
Sorry?
There's a blunder.
Right. That's your blunder.
Is it... This is the episode where Bart's eyes and mouth are facing on opposite directions.
You pointed that out in the Sunday school. He does Twister Head.
Yeah.
That's like a famous bit of early Bart animation.
Yeah.
When they used to animate these characters kind of liquidy, kind of rubbery.
Yeah.
They used to do that all the time. They've done it in previous episodes that we've watched.
Right, I just didn't really pick up on it as much.
It's sometimes hard to clock unless you're looking for it. But yeah, Bart does that weird thing where his head kind of turns so that his mouth is on one side and his eyes and his nose are on the other side.
Yeah.
And then they snap back.
It's really strange.
They call that Twister Head.
Right.
Twister Head. Yeah.
That's weird. But yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Burns and Mo meet in this episode and have a brief conversation.
Yeah.
Two characters that I imagine having never met.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if they meet in... I'm sure there's subsequent episodes where Homer is friends with Mr. Burns and they go to Moe's Tavern or something.
Probably.
But this is, I think, it's just a weird character pairing that you don't ever think about.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a spotlight episode where those two become friends in like a current season.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they would, for all they're obviously from different backgrounds, I feel like they're equally seedy and sinister. I could definitely see...
I feel like they're definitely both equally hating of children in general.
Yeah, and people in general.
And people in general too, but
I could see Mr. Burns doing some shady dealings through Mo.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A couple of shady business opportunities there.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else you want to touch on?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah.
They've got some really high ceilings. Because the start of that, where fucking Bart flies up and then 4 minutes later lands in front of the TV.
The couch gag where Bart... I'm sure, I think we've seen that in one of their episodes so far.
Was it Bart that flew?
Yes, it was.
Was it? Okay.
I think it was one of the earliest ones we recorded.
Right.
Weeks ago.
Yeah.
So like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, in episode 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah, but they jump on the couch and Bart is squeezed out in the couch gag and he shoots up into the air. And we assumed he was just gone.
Yeah.
And then when it comes up, created by Matt Groening. Or Groening.
Groening?
He drops down again.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that's it. I think that's it. I liked it. Overall.
Great episode.
It was a good episode.
One of the best of the season so far.
Yeah, definitely. But still no better joke than that bunny joke, though.
The previous episode where the bunny gets chucked through the... Right. In Call of the Simpsons, where Homer sets a trap for a rabbit and then chucks it.
Watches it like
70
3 acres
feet in the air. Yeah, aye. 18 miles away. Anyway, do you want to do the wrap up?
Yeah, this has been Insert Brain here, a Simpsons podcast. Have a good evening.
Fucking hell, speedrunning it right to the end. This has been Insert Brain here, a Simpsons podcast. I'll let you try again. This has been Insert Brain here. Turn it off. Turn it off. Press the button.
This has been Insert Brain here, a Simpsons podcast. This was Season 1, Episode 8.
Yeah.
The Telltale Head.
Yes.
And it's been David. As always with me was Connor.
Hello, I've been Connor.
Aye. And have a good evening.
This has been a T for 22 production.
That's fucking everything. Always.
This has been a T for 22 production, yeah.
I need a script, mate.
I'll get you a script, don't worry.
Just for the start and the end. I just need a script.
We'll be on season 20 and you'll be like, line? Insert what here? What podcast?
What was that again? 3 blind mice.
Insert 3 blind mice in my ass. An enema podcast. Anyway, have a good night.
Have a good night.